A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Lunchtime News. Come to you live and direct from the Newsfirst Center here in Colombo. I'm Florine Rajendran. Before going into the stories in detail, here's a look at today's headlines. President Mahinda Rajapaksa expresses his belief that the people of Polonnaruwa have not forgotten what was done for the district. Presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena reiterates that he has not struck any agreements within his alliance to divide the country or develop power. Moratorium on campaigning for the presidential poll from midnight today. Shooting in the Kawata town. 3 campaigners who were decorating for a Maithripala Sirisena rally hospitalized. In those stories in detail now, New Democratic Front presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena says that his camp has made no agreements to divide the country or power. He added that he is committed to safeguarding the unity of the country. Maithripala Sirisena expressed this view while making a special statement at a media briefing in Colombo this morning.
From the time we launched our election campaign, we ensure that we carried out in a free, fair and peaceful manner. And we will continue our campaign in this manner until the 8th. Over the past month, especially over the last few days and last evening, there were numerous reports of violence, of shooting and harassment. Stages were set ablaze, our supporters were attacked and injured, campaign officers were burnt down. Many incidents of a violent nature took place. The fact that a rally which I was addressing in Palmadula was attacked and stoned while I was speaking questions the freedom and democracy in this country. Despite all of this, we tolerated everything and conducted our election campaign in a patient, disciplined and calm manner because we are certain that we will triumph. In response to the false allegations levelled at us that after we come into power, we will divide the country, leave room for a war to arise, the LTTE to re-emerge and remove the military presence in the north, as a presidential candidate and as our coalition, I would like to clearly state that we have not at any instance made any agreement with the TNA or the Muslim Congress in secret or in the open with the intention of dividing this country or power among these factions.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa took part in a public rally in Polonnaruwa yesterday.
A public rally was organized to marshal support for President Mahinda Rajapaksa in Polonnaruwa yesterday. Some say that we did not treat Polonnaruwa well, but the manner in which I treated Polonnaruwa when I was the Labour Minister did not begin by anyone's request. It is I who came and selected Polonnaruwa to erect a technical college when I was the Minister of Fisheries. I am the one who introduced a fishing village. I did not give 320 million rupees to Veerakatia Central College. Instead, I gave it to the schools of Polonnaruwa so I could see these children educated. This is how I treated the province. Now it is clear to you that we have not forgotten you all.
Moreover, President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that in order to develop a country, one must have faith in the state sector employee. The head of state made this observation while addressing a gathering of State Bank trade union representatives yesterday.
I have faith in the state sector employee and the banker, otherwise I wouldn't be able to work. The state worker is bound to perform his duties, so we need to have faith in them. Otherwise the country cannot be developed. When work is done, then comes the beating. It is the tree that grows that is attacked. When you call a man thief 100 times, he becomes a thief. We are thieves. They started off saying the entire cabinet is a set of thieves. Then do they stop being thieves after they leave the cabinet to the other side? From that day onwards, they have become good.
Campaigning for the presidential election will come to an end at midnight today. Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amardas says that no campaigning of any sort for the presidential election will be allowed after midnight. He added that campaign officers that have been established at the electorate level can continue to function until midnight tomorrow. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rohana says that a special security plan has been put in place to apprehend those who violate the midnight moratorium on campaigning. The Election Secretariat says the issuing of temporary identification for voters who require it will conclude today. Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amardas says that voters can obtain temporary identification if required by submitting an application to their respective Grama Niladhari. The Election Secretariat has also decided to allocate more time for casting of postal votes. Amardas noted that eligible public officials could cast their postal votes from 9 a.m. to noon tomorrow. He added that public officials who are eligible but are yet to cast their postal votes can do so at the district elections office in the district where they are posted. The Department of Post says that 94% of the polling cards for the presidential election have been distributed. Postmaster General Rohan Abhiratna says that they have been unable to distribute 6% of the polling cards. The deadline for distributing polling cards expired yesterday. Abhiratna noted that persons who are yet to receive polling cards can obtain these cards by affirming their identity at the nearest post office. Meanwhile, gunshots were fired at a group of persons who were decorating a rally of presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena in Kahawatha. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona noted that 3 persons were injured in the shooting. The incident took place at around 2 this morning. SSP Ajit Rona stated that a group of persons who arrived in a jeep fired at the group. He added that the incident sparked outrage amongst a group of supporters who later vandalized a UPFA office. The police later dispatched a patrol unit in response to the incident to curtail any further violence that would have occurred as a result. Thereafter, a group of persons engaged in a protest blocking the road. The police headquarters state that an unidentified group attacked several election officials in Trincomalee. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona stated that the incident occurred at around 8 last night when the elections officials in question were inspecting a digital screen erected for campaigning activities. He added that they were unable to identify 2 persons involved in the incident. Meanwhile, an unidentified group attacked an election campaign office of presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena in Kalevala. According to the police headquarters, 14 government officers, including provincial councillors, have been taken into custody in connection with instigating election violence. Police media spokesperson SSP Ajit Rona stated that they have received 320 complaints with regard to election violence. 135 persons have been taken into custody. Meanwhile, CAFE says that 1,096 election-related incidents have been reported ahead of the presidential polls. Executive Director of CAFE, Kirti Tenako, noted that out of these complaints, 116 complaints are in relation to election violence. The National Election Monitoring Centre noted that they have received 256 complaints in relation to election violence. Executive Director of PAFREL, Rohan Etiarachi, states that 797 complaints have been lodged with the monitoring body on election law violations and election-related violence. Following were some of the views expressed on the political stage.
If Sirisena comes here now, he does not have to wait until the 8th or the 9th to see that not a single SLFP in Polonnaruwa has abandoned us. When a test flight was sent in the air, 20 peacocks fell down dead. An aircraft takes off, killing 20 vehicles of the Kataragama gods. There are no ships in the harbour. The Hambantota harbour is like a giant fish tank. My friends, these individuals do not understand the hunger of the people. Mahinda represents the patriotic and progressive national forces in the country. In truth, I must note that the forces that have united against him are the usual regressive, foreign-allied and anti-populist forces. Think about it for a minute. When you add Maitri's votes, Chandrika's votes, the JVP's votes, Sarath Fonseca's votes, the Hela Urumia votes, the Muslim community votes, the Tamil community votes and the estate workers' votes to the 41% the UNP already has, will we not be able to pass the 50% mark? We will bring about a political tsunami uniting all the people's forces to change the political culture in the country and enable people to live. It is because of this that Maithripala Sirisena donned Modi's outfit and tried to become president. But on the 8th, our president will be President Mahinda Rajapaksa. Whether you consider the stars, the numbers, the number of people who have left the government or even each individual district, the result will be the same no matter how you add it up. What is the result? After votes are cast on the 8th and the result is announced on the 9th, the papers will read former President Mahinda Rajapaksa has been defeated.
And on a somber note, a man set himself on fire this morning near the Viharamadevi Park in Colombo. The police say that the man has been identified as 72-year-old Jayasuriya Rachge Jinadasa Pereira, a resident of Pannipitia. The police say that the man doused himself in kerosene and set himself on fire at about 5:30 a.m. The police say that bystanders had put out the flames and rushed the man to the National Hospital. While the reasons for this attempted self-immolation are as yet unknown, the police are investigating the incident. One person has been injured after being shot at by the police at the Devala junction in Palama. Our reporter says that the police had opened fire on a lorry transporting a poisoning victim to hospital. Our reporter says that the driver of the lorry was injured in the incident and that the patient being transported in the lorry had also succumbed to the poison while a tense situation arose at the scene.
He had consumed poison and collapsed. He was barely alive and we were rushing him to the hospital. They shot at us just as we were slowing down the vehicle at the Mahad Devalaya. My brother died because we were late. If we had gotten there half an hour earlier, then he could have been saved.
However, the police claim that they opened fire on the vehicle as it failed to heed orders to stop. The police say that the incident occurred at about 9:20 last night. The police say that the lorry had been flagged down at the police checkpoint at the Devala junction in Palama and that they had opened fire as the driver had sped on without heeding the order. The first term of schools for the year 2015 commenced today. The Ministry of Education said that except for the 68 schools which are being used for the marking of GCE ordinary level examination answer scripts and the schools set aside as counting centres for the presidential election, all other schools will commence their academic year today.
All government and semi-private schools will be closed on the 7th, 8th and 9th of January as the school principals and teachers will be performing election duty in view of the upcoming presidential polls. Accordingly, schools commencing their new academic year today will again be closed tomorrow the 6th of January and will reopen on the 12th of January. The Ministry of Education said that schools that are being used as centres for the marking of the ordinary level examination answer scripts will commence their academic year on the 12th of January. Meanwhile, 48 schools which will house the police officers who are to provide security for the arrival of Pope Francis will be closed from the 11th to the 15th of January and will reopen on the 16th of January.
Moving to some local news now, a rally was held to muster support for New Democratic Front presidential candidate Maithripala Sirisena yesterday.
Public rally was held to muster support for the presidential candidate of the New Democratic Front, Maithripala Sirisena. By now, Mahinda Rajapaksa must have sold the position of Prime Minister to around 10 people. When he meets Nimal Siripala, he tells Nimal that he will be appointed as the next Prime Minister. When he meets Susil Premajayantha, he tells him that he will become the next Prime Minister. My friends, he told me this, holding my hand back in 2005. It was after we took part in a presidential campaign in Tissa Maharama. He held my hand in the backseat of his car and told me that we need to win the elections together. He told me, quote, when a president emerges from the south, we need a prime minister from Rajarata and that he will make me prime minister. Auctioning the position of prime minister is a political scam that Mahinda Rajapaksa carries out very well. Therefore, I would like to clearly state that in 72 hours, the rule of Mahinda Rajapaksa will end. Remember that it was us in Uva that first frightened the president. Now they are bringing truckloads of goods to the temples. The era where they gave you things and deceived you has come to an end. Our stage is not like that. This is a pure stage. Why did we come onto a common stage instead of a party stage? To get rid of this forsaken executive presidency and the forsaken Rajapaksa family regime. Many people have made sacrifices to provide relief to the 20 million innocent people of this country. You have been trapped on four sides. You have been trapped by taxes, you have been made debtors to the world, and you are paying money which the government is stealing. The ruler of this country has set a world record for pickpocketing today. He is the world's best pickpocket. Usually a pickpocket only steals from one person at a time. He has stolen from 20 million all at once. Have you felt any sense of security in the recent past?
In some cricket news, an unbeaten 94-run stand between Kane Williamson and BJ Watling helped New Zealand take 118-run lead in the second test against Sri Lanka at Wellington, but Sri Lanka was still ahead. New Zealand were tottering on 159 for 5 with a slender lead of 24 when BJ Watling joined Kane Williamson. By the end of the day, he added 94 in 40.3 overs, with Williamson slowly building the lead past 100. Sri Lanka went wicketless in the last session of the day, but on a pitch with a reputation of getting more batsman friendly with time, they would still have their sights on a series equalising win. Their seamers had bowled with discipline throughout the day, while Ranganehirath maintained the stranglehold. Nuwan Pradeep picked up the wickets of the two openers and James Neesham late in the second section. At the close of play, New Zealand were 253 for 5, with Williamson on 80 and Watling on 48. And that's a wrap of lunchtime news here at Newsfirst. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Florine Rajendran. Have a pleasant day ahead of you.
Hotline 0